boat right now. He probably was already surfing. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Jeanne. Hi, Janis. Thanks, Stephanie.
Oh, thank you for joining me. Okay, so first off, I just want to know how you are doing and everybody's healthy and happy and you're home as happy as you can be.
Yeah. So far, thankfully, our immediate family hasn't been touched by this, horrible pandemic that we're in. But yes, life has changed for everyone. And I'm a much better real estate broker than I am homeschooler. So
Yes, I know the feeling. I know
Yep.
the feeling.
Yep.
Okay, so Kristin, how long have you been in real estate?
Great question. I got into real estate as a hobby in 2006, late 2006, early 2007. So I bought my first property with the help of a couple of great realtors in our area. And with my corporate sales background in the previous 10 years, I thought, I would love to do this too. So I went to night school at Temple and got my license again as a hobby. Had no idea it was going to become my full-time everything 24/7 career. And then I stayed in school after I got my salesperson's license and went to night school and was able to pass my broker's exams in 2010.
Awesome. So what did you do before real estate?
I was in corporate sales, hunting primarily for new business within the Fortune 50, Fortune 100, selling more communication services on a
Cool.
national level.
That's very cool. So some of those skills really helped with real estate.
Definitely. In fact, that's the biggest issue I see with our business, with the exception of the pandemic that we're in, is that real estate has been so hot for so long that everybody wants to get into the business, but nobody has a sales background. No one understands really how many opportunities you have to create in order to close what you hope to close. So, and the sales skills and follow-up skills that go along with it. So it's been really helpful to have that strong sales background.
Cool. So you were an agent and you now have a team.
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you had this team?
So my team started organically in 2012 after I had my best year as an individual agent in 2010 when I closed about 10 million in volume with a part-time assistant during the spring market. And then in early 2011, I had my first child, who's now 9, and I had my worst year. So I had my best year in 2010, I had my worst year in 2011, and I had to figure out a better way to stay in the business and just follow what I was called to do. So fortunately, I helped one of my clients get into real estate in early 2012. He introduced me to one of my first team members who's still a member of my team 8 years later, and she's married and has 2 kids herself, Stephanie Biello. And then fast forward, we now have a team that's on pace to close about 30 million this year. We usually have about 6 to 7 team members at any given time. We're very much a boutique business, and our business trends on luxury. We work with all different price points, but we have the honor of working with some really awesome and unique properties too.
Cool. So so starting the team, you mentioned a little bit, you had like a moment of clarity that you needed to do something. How did you go about that with the team you started out with an assistant, and how did you get your other members?
Mm-hmm. So it's a great question as well, and it's probably worthy of a whole morning workshop in the future. But the short story is, just because of my family situation, I decided that I was going to be the chief administrative officer. So I was able to, I did things a little bit differently. I put my team in the forefront. I made a very strong commitment to help them make as much money as possible and help them learn as much as possible. And I really was in the background because I had infants at home, I had newborns, I had toddlers. And don't get me wrong, I was in the forefront when I needed to be, but I really made a commitment to and enjoyed putting some of my awesome team members in the focal point and at the core of the client relationship.
Like a true leader.
Thanks. And
Yes.
it's, I mean, don't get me wrong, there have been plenty of ups and downs. It's really hard to manage people. I think it's maybe a lot of people know. I'm good. I've become pretty good at managing operations and managing teams. I don't know if I would say it's my true love. I'm a great broker. I love the client engagement and relationship. But I definitely, I'm always seeking help and trying to see the value in others and how they manage teams and people. I think it's a very, very challenging skill, and I look forward to growing all the time in that realm. And then, in addition to searching for buyers and sellers and seeking those relationships, I'm always just looking for talent. And every time I see talent, it's I try to transfer it into a relationship.
Awesome. So how are you guys doing now during COVID? How is your team working virtually? And are you finding new ways of doing business that maybe you wanted to try and now it has just catapulted because you needed to?
It's been super challenging, I think, for everyone. Incredibly challenging. So we've become masters at Zoom. We've all become masters at Zoom. We meet virtually. We've had to meet more regularly. Our in-person meetings have translated into maybe 3 or more Zoom meetings every week: Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And then we have virtual open houses. Our virtual open houses have been relatively successful in terms of just attracting interest from outside of Philadelphia. So, but no, everything has changed. It's been super challenging, and but I'm proud of the changes, and I'm proud of how the team and the industry has shown its resilience and shown its ability to adapt. And I'm proud of the fact that we really haven't decreased our spend as an organization. We've reallocated heavily. So anyway, we've reinvested in some online prioritization. We've reinvested in some development people. I hired a part-time development person who, with the help of our administrative team, has been working on creating like a high-level influencer leadership series for Zoom. So we've been connecting with institutions like Jefferson and the city and the Mural Arts Program. We've had a bunch of other very interesting business owners and entrepreneurs on our leadership series, which is open to the public, and we'd love to invite all of GPAR to our next one, which I think is on Friday, and we'll be sending out more information about that. But no, it's been super challenging and confusing at times, and I think it's been hard for everyone to maintain a focus. And when I look back at last year and the prior year, May and June are supposed to be our year. They're supposed to be our busiest months. I think last year in June we closed, 5 million in volume. We're not going to close that this year. So I am thankful that, and you will get to this, I think, in further questions, but I'm very consistent. I wouldn't say I'm consistent on an hourly, daily basis, but I'm consistent through my career. And I've been thinking about this lately. I'm consistent in trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle, which does include eating pizza, and it does include, drinking wine or whatever, doing some things that aren't super healthy. But I've always been committed to trying to maintain, I run, I do bar, I do yoga, I try to maintain that, not on a daily basis, but just as consistently through my life. And then, my work ethic is consistent too. Again, it's not an hour by hour process for me. It's consistency throughout my whole life. So in the fourth quarter of last year, we just had a tough fourth quarter. I'm not really sure why. but I noticed it, and I noticed it late third quarter, early fourth quarter, and I powered through. Our team powered through. We worked hard, and we worked really hard in our first quarter this year. Thankfully, we had a great month in February. We closed about 5 million in February. We have some really good deals under contract we had closed them in March and April, and that has carried us through until now. And then we also have some deals already under contract to close kind of late summer. But if I hadn't recognized the need, or if I hadn't been consistent throughout my entire career as it pertains to that work ethic, we wouldn't be as well prepared to handle this. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, I mean, that kind of goes into my next question. You know, what you're doing during your downtime to stay sane. You know, a lot of successful people, they keep consistent with their daily routine, get up at the same time, do an exercise. So make your phone calls, work on your time blocking. So have you maintained that exercise, or do you have a morning ritual that you have every day that you've been able to still carry through COVID? And are there some things that you just can't do that are frustrating?
Yeah, I know. So I'll answer that in the best way that I can, because I am someone who loves to be spontaneous, and again, consistency through my career is different from the daily rituals or routines. But prior to COVID and during COVID, like this morning, I try to get up as early as possible, as early as reasonably possible. And so I had my coffee at 7, and I just sat for half an hour or 20 minutes, whatever I have, 15 minutes even. And I try to enjoy just the stillness, the peace, the quiet moments in the morning where I'm just thinking on my own. It may be about something, it may be about nothing. I may just be enjoying my space of 15 minutes. I may be enjoying the view, whatever sounds are around me. This morning, I chose to dedicate some time to write a sympathy card for an acquaintance of mine, someone I don't know that well, but our kids went to daycare together, and both of her parents have passed away suddenly as a result of this pandemic. And she lives in the city with her family, and I've been wanting to, to take some time to show and feel sympathy and empathy. So that's what I did this morning. And that's kind of my routine, whether it's a thank you card to a client or a speaker on our series or one of our team members. I even sent a thank you to my mom and dad, and they live out in Arizona. And again, I don't do it every day, but I try to carve out some time during my mornings for gratitude and just peace of mind, because my day can be pretty choppy and it's very difficult for me to focus on peace.
I agree. I'm a big personal note person. So it's something that I consistently do every morning. Like you, I think it kind of sets the tone, and you know, you're thinking of somebody else, and it kind of sets it for the rest of the day to think of others as you move along through your day. So, well, Kristin, thank you for those few minutes. We're going to come back to you. That was very, very enlightening. And,
thank you. Thank you, Stephanie.
Now, oh, you're welcome. We're going to go to Janis. Is Janis around? Do we have her unmuted?
Yeah, I'm not on screen. I don't know why.
Okay, you know what? I don't see you on my board. I'm going to change because I like to see your face. There you are. Hi, Janis. Good morning.
Good morning.
So Janis is actually a board of director, and I want to go back to Kristin. Kristin is also on our special task force with the Philly COVID task force. So she definitely does some volunteer for GPAR and always giving back to the community. So thank you. But Janis, you are also a board of director for GPAR, and you have graciously accepted that role. And this year is not the year that we had planned, but we'll get back to it as soon as we get back to work. We'll get back to it. We'll get back on track. But just want to see, how are you doing during this pandemic? Everybody healthy and okay?
Yeah, Thank God. I mean, and I put on the board that today is Monday because I honestly can't remember. So you can't see the top of it, but it does say today is Monday. So that way we can all remember. It's like Heather's, but not as fancy. No, we're doing good. We're camping out down the shore. I left.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I left. I took my kids and my dog in the middle of April and came down here because we just needed space and light. And it's really done a lot for my mindset, and it's really shifted my brain and made things easier for me to cope.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Everybody could use a beach day, right? So Janis, how long have you been in real estate?
Well, I've been in real estate since the 1900s. I zigzagged the 8-year route through college, and in the summer of 1996, I was like, I got to get the hell out of school before I turned 30, and I needed elective credits. I was lucky. I needed 8 elective credits to graduate, and they happened to be offering the real estate courses at Temple. So I took both real estate courses concurrently, and I just fell in love with it. And I didn't make a plan that this was going to be my life, but I did decide to take the exam. And that's, 20 something years later. And here I am down the shore, trying to not sell real estate, but selling real estate. Like, it's crazy how it happens.
Yes. So now you have a team, or you have a brokerage, settled down, Philadelphia. So let's talk a little bit about that and how you went from an agent to a team leader.
So just like most things in my life, I just get a bug up my you-know-what and say, I'm going to do it. And I was literally sitting in my office, excuse me, one day, and I was talking on the phone to a client, and they told me some things that like an admin from the office had said, and I just didn't like it. And I literally out loud complained. And the guy sitting next to me is like, oh, Jen is Venstock Real Estate. You could do it better yourself. And I said, you know what? I can. And I literally that day went online and signed up for my brokerage courses and started. And I didn't really, I'm very opposite. Like I know Kristin. I love you, Kristin. Kristin is so like organized and data driven and numbers driven. And I'm so much more than I am. And I'm so the opposite. I'm just like intuitive, touchy feely, not in the creepy way, but just sort of like go with the flow and decide to do something. And that's how I did it. I literally just said, I'm going to do it. And then once I said I was going to do it and I started doing it, it happened. And
awesome.
Here we are.
That's awesome. So besides real estate, you do other stuff in real estate, right?
I do.
Some of you may see her, if you're a newbie, teaching classes, teaching real estate classes at Temple.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. How did you get into that? Years
ago, I don't think Frank is here. Frank Emilio, my old broker, who really taught me mostly everything I know in this business. He said to me that I should go teach. And I was like, whatever. And maybe he saw something in me. And this was years ago. And I went to go teach, and they never hired me. It's either political or they didn't like me or who knows, whatever. And I just didn't give it another thought. And then a few years ago, Teresa Stegall, who I absolutely love, she was retiring and she suggested me to fill in her position. And I came in and I sat with her and I took her whole entire course to like refresh myself and watched her teach, and she was amazing. And I just fell in love with it and I started teaching, and now I just do it as much as possible. That's one of the things I miss most is my class, is being live, not doing it Zoom.
Yeah.
It's
so you are doing your classes Zoom?
Well, we finished the classes that were interrupted. We finished them Zoom and postponed the new semester, and hopefully it's going to start live, but it may start Zoom depending on the world. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
I haven't made a
so
final.
you teach the fundamentals, the 2 courses for sales,
the fundamentals
license,
and some CE too. And my CE classes are fun. They're people actually don't, they still would rather be somewhere else, but I have to say, if anyone's taken my CE class, they are fun. So if you got to take CE, come to my class, and I don't get anything for it. It's just fun.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Okay. So you talked a little bit about how you got into real estate. Did you do anything else besides real estate and teaching? And
Oh my
I
God,
mean,
I
like you
totally
said,
did. And I forgot.
yeah.
So, well, back in the day, like, so Kristin talks about a sales background, and it's true. That's the hardest part of this job. And I say that to everybody, it's the hunt. And I started back, all right, ready? I don't know if you know this, but when I very first started, I did the boardwalk game, Bust When You Win. I was the balloon girl with the darts. I swear to you, I did. And that's how I learned how to sell. I did. For 4 summers, I worked on the boardwalk. And I learned the ins and outs of how to sell and how to hustle. And I even went to New York and did the Feast of San Gennaro, if anyone's ever been there, with the carnies and worked the games. Like, that's where I learned how to sell. And that translates. And maybe that's why Kristin was in corporate and I'm on the boardwalk. So maybe that's more like my personality, right? But that's the whole thing, is learning how to sell and talking to people. And so that's what I did. And, you know, I waited tables and bartended and all that kind of stuff when I was in college. And then when I was in real estate classes, I decided I wanted to sell houses. I was scared because I didn't know how to finance them. I didn't understand mortgages. So when I got out of real estate school, I sat for my exam and I got a job as a loan officer. So for the first 5.5 years of my career, I did both. And that, I think, is one of the greatest advantages that I have personally in my own business, because I understand financing and it doesn't scare me. And it really helped me to be able to learn how to sell to investors. So investors are really the bread and butter of my business. And that's who I'm most comfortable talking to. And I try and teach that to my agents. I tend to attract in my brokerage a lot of people who are investors, agents who are investors, who either want to invest for themselves or just deal with investors. And so that's kind of the flavor that we have. We do everything, but that's kind of our flavor.
Okay. So what challenges do you find now during COVID, you know, with running your business, and how many agents do you have?
We're at, I think, 24.
Okay. So
And
managing them, and how are you able to help them? You know, you talked about Zoom and all of that. What are you doing during COVID to run your business?
yeah, well, we've been having 3 times a week Zoom meetings to check in, but I have some challenges because I have agents on my team who have had personal losses due to COVID, siblings, and so there's been a lot of hand holding, a lot of crying, a lot of, it's hit home. It's, thank God, nobody personal to me, but people personal to people that I love. And so that's been a real challenge. And what I've noticed, I mean, we know we can't show any property. There've been like 2 people, 1 person in my world that had the exemption under the April 28th memo. So like, there's been no in-person activity. And none of the stuff that we have listed is owner occupied. So we can't do any of those virtual tours. So I kind of feel left out of that whole world. Like, we're just kind of shut down. But what I've really shifted my energy into is connecting with people where they are. So I've moved, not just Zoom, but I've moved a lot to online. Like, I have a Facebook group for agents trying to build their business. And I've been spending a lot of my time in there connecting and supporting those other agents. They're mostly women. I mean, men are allowed, but it is mostly women. So I say women, those women, because they're all facing challenges. I was having a conversation with someone this morning, and we were talking about motivation. And she's saying that she has a 4-year-old child that's home all the time, and her husband's a contractor, and he's off like out of the house on site all day, and she doesn't catch a break to do anything. And I'm going to continue that conversation after here, because those are the people that need the support. And that's where I can be of value now, is with my agents and the other agents and my students. And as far as buyers and sellers, whatever we have are pretty much on hold, and I'm trying to help them as best that I can. But for the most part, it's the agents who are running the business that I'm able to reach out to now. That's the only place that I have any impact.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that about your agents and their family. That's sad to hear. So with the buyers and the seller, you talked a little bit about your most of your properties are vacant. Is that kind of your specialty area, your niche, or
Well, we
do you
deal with
have?
investors, so we do a lot of property management, and we sell
Mhm.
to investors, and then we list their properties. So we either have tenant occupied properties for the most part that are just turning over for rentals, or we have properties that are, a lot of our investors decided they wanted to sell right around now. So
Okay,
they're vacant and we can't do anything.
right, right. So with that, how do you think, what do you think is going to change with your team once we, move forward? Do you see them, um, I don't know, doing more virtual tours with, or any kind of, I don't know, like the Matterport when you do your listings? I mean, I talk to a lot of agents who now may have dipped into that pool of doing the videos where they had not done it before, or the 3D. Do you see that becoming part of your practice?
Yeah, well, the way I see it is this. I'm not a fan of the video tours because I
Mhm.
literally don't have the patience to watch them. I just don't. And I know they're a thing, but I'm my best market study. Because we all are, right? I'm my ideal customer avatar. I look for, and I can't stand them. I'd rather look at pictures at my own pace. But the one thing I do love are the actual virtual tours. And I haven't had experience with them yet because I haven't been able to use them. But the one where, I think it's the Matterport one where you actually,
Mhm.
like, you're standing in the property and you can navigate around. That
Yeah.
I want to do, especially for our rental properties, because it is so time consuming for an agent to go out and show rental properties over and over again. I'd rather have those in place when it's vacant, and then if somebody's interested, take them in. But what's really changed for us is nothing. And I mean nothing but everything. And here's what I mean. This business is built on relationships. We are in the business of people. We are not in the business of houses. And for my team and my agents, what we've been really drilling down into is connecting with people. It's different now. We're going where they are, which is online, but it's all about the relationship. That's all that matters. Everything else falls into place after that. So now the relationship, the connection is online. My agents are dying to get out into the real world and connect with people again. And I think that they're like chomping at the bit. They're like horses behind the starting gate. And they've been ramping up connecting with people even more during this whole shutdown because now we all want it more. So as soon as the gates open, of course, I'm not saying they're going to be careless. They're going to be careful and protocol and all that stuff. But the minute the world opens back up again, they're going to go do what they do with a vengeance, and the business will follow. So we're going to change a little bit, but not too much.
Right. It's all about the relationships.
That's all.
You're absolutely 100% correct about that. So, all right. So I'm going to ask you, Janis, the same question I asked Kristin. Is there a daily routine that you do? Is there something that you do every day that
No.
keeps you kind of sane, or do
In
you?
fact, this morning, no, and I'll tell you the truth. I used to have a routine. This morning, I posted in my Facebook group how I finally, yesterday, stopped eating bread and pasta all day, and I went for a bike ride and I worked in my garden, and I started shifting. And today I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, which is when I used to get up. There have been days during this whole pandemic where I ended every single night with a glass of wine. Right? And then the next day I'm dragging out of bed, and I'm not like that. I'm not like that at all. And it's been just so up and down and so hard to find any kind of routine or any kind of normalcy in this whole entire thing. And, the one thing that I have to say is compassion. I have to have compassion for myself. On the days when I had my glass of wine and I was tired the next day, or not as productive, or didn't get stuff done, or didn't return phone calls, or whatever it was, let myself alone. And if I have compassion for myself, then I can have compassion for everyone else. So today, my routine, oh my God, I was so on fire. I had my coffee. I got up early. I'm going for a run later. I took a friggin' shower dude. I mean, I smell like garlic because my son made dinner last night and we like piled on the garlic because I'm like, it's a Zoom meeting. Nobody is going to know. But tomorrow, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? So it's just like at this point, day by day. But the one thing I will say is that what I did was, because I told a couple of you guys this, I have my New Jersey license and I was getting really, really stir crazy. So I started drumming up a little business down here because I'm down the shore. And the other day Saturday, I did a Facebook Live in a vacant Ocean City property. I checked with the agent and I did it. And it felt so energizing and so great to do it. And not only did it feel like I was getting my head back in the game and connecting again, but it was really cool because I talked to a couple of agents in my group and it inspired them to get creative in their business and to do stuff outside the box, because when you're stuck, I mean, who would have ever thought we would be shut down? We all have our challenges about stuff, but like, who would have ever thought this? Nobody. Mm-hmm. And it just, to me, it's a learning experience that when the shit hits the fan, I hope I don't get in trouble for that, but when the poop hits the fan, then you have to get creative and figure something out. And that's what it's all about. It's like living in the moment and enjoying, because there's joys to be had in all of this craziness. And the fact that I have no routine, I'm trying to just have compassion for myself and enjoy that.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Janis. That was great talking. All right, we're going to come back to you also. And now I'm going to go shift over to Jeannie, and I'm going to look for her on my thing here. Hello. Hi, there you are. Hi, Jeannie. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. Awesome. So, Jeannie, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks so much for having me, Stephanie. You know, these Zoom chats where you get to talk to people listen to people that you don't normally hear talk is so educating, not only on just what they're saying, but how they're saying it and their presentation styles. I love this. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, good. So, so some of you may know, Jeannie, her involvement in GPAR, she now has another role at PAR. She is now a director for PAR. And Jeannie has also been very involved in GPAR on the executive committee level and as a board of directors. So Jeannie, thank you for all your contributions to GPAR and PAR.
My pleasure. It's been great working with you. You're doing an excellent job. Just PS.
Well, I try. Get up every morning and you just keep punching, right? So anyway, how are you doing? Are you healthy? Your family, everybody okay?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm so grateful. I was just talking to a friend the other day about how guilty we feel when people ask us how we're doing, because we are just so lucky and fortunate, and just try to make every contribution I can to help people who aren't as fortunate. And my family's doing fine. They're in the worst political states in the country, Florida and Georgia. So I worry, but they're fine.
Oh, goodness. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad to hear everybody's healthy. So, Jeannie, we're going to start off with how long have you been in the business? How long have you been in real estate?
I'm on my 18th year.
Wow. Wow. So what were you doing before real estate?
A little bit of everything. You picked a great smattering of panelists today, because like Kristin comes from corporate and Janis comes from the boardwalk, and I have an arts background. So I originally came to Philadelphia. I grew up in South Carolina, and I originally came to Philadelphia to be a big city girl because New York was too big. And I came to UArts, and I didn't realize how in love I was with Philly. It's like meeting your mate too early. So I shuffled off to Chicago and lived there for 4 years and finished college at the museum school and started looking for a house to buy in 2001, right after the September 11th. And I realized, my boyfriend at the time and I realized that Philadelphia was just so much more affordable that we came back here together to buy a house. And I got my house under contract before November 2002 and got my real estate license in November of 2002, and started working for Antonio Attican as his listing coordinator back then.
Wow. Antonio, great guy. So,
Yeah. He's
okay,
been an
so you work,
inspiration. He's had a lot of different roles in the business since then.
yeah,
So it's nice to
yeah,
follow his career.
yeah. I hope he's on. He's a great guy. Okay, so you went from administrator to agent and then to team leader. So how was that path?
It was a reluctant path, I have to say. And, I think that growth is kind of an unspoken effect of what we all do on a daily basis. If you're selling real estate and you're doing it well, even if you're not doing it well, the next thing that happens is you're doing more of it and more and more and more of it. And eventually it's not possible to transact all of your transactions at once and keep that level of consistent customer service and attention. You just kind of grow out of your own self. So the path from there isn't something I think people focus on, and it's almost like too late by the time you get there. So I went from assistant to team member. My teammate was Dawn White. We worked together for 8 years, and she passed away very suddenly in 2010. So then I started my own team, and all of that was just the result of compounding business, referrals, branding, website, marketing. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you have some resources to grow a team. I think there's 3 ways you can do it. One is get together with other agents and combine efforts to build a support system, or you can become a rainmaker and just kind of slough off some of your less desirable accounts to people that are learning on your team that depend on you for that. And the third way is to build a micro brokerage within a brokerage where you have support staff, lead generation, and you're basically taking care of everything monetarily to create a consistent, systematized brand that you kind of win before you pitch. So the clients come to you for that specific experience that you create, and your team members partake in that and really use the tools to make their lives easy and balanced, and high volume producers.
Awesome. Now, how many people do you have on your team now?
10 salespeople, and then there's me and 4 staff.
Wow, that's a nice team, nice sized team, keeps you busy. So how are you guys managing during COVID? How are you conducting meetings and game plans, that sort of thing?
We have always met once a week, so we're still doing that. And in addition, we do a tea time, just the team members who are available on Thursdays. We just get together and gab, and it's pretty fun. And I'm going to be a little unorthodox to just say that we haven't really stopped producing, and it's not because we're doing in-person showings. We're maintaining as much distance as possible. Some of our sellers have helped us allow showings, and what I'm gonna just be plain about is that I am so disappointed in the governor and the administration for what they've done to us, because they've basically put regulations on us that don't take into account our contracts, our written legal contracts, our ethics code, and our fiduciary duties. So I kind of feel like, I know everyone's going to hate me for saying this, but I feel like we have to honor our responsibilities, even if it means a little bit of tipping the scale rules-wise. So
We have somebody not on mute. There we go. You could just mute yourself, guys. Thanks. Yeah, I think what you say, I think all of us feel that, and it's frustrating for all of us, and it makes it challenging for us to do the right thing. There's the law, and then we also have law within our own industry, and sometimes we may be questioning, what do we do? So how do you, I'm sure your agents come to you for guidance in that, and how are you able to guide them, lead them, down the right path and help the clients?
It's been hard. Our philosophy has always been do what's right for the long run. So what's right is following the CDC's guidelines. We cannot make people sick. We cannot spread the virus, and we need to stay at home. That's what's right for the long run. But also to honor your contracts, your fiduciary duties, and your ethics to other agents. And mostly, I mean, we don't want to be negative, and we don't want to judge people for what they have to do to keep their livelihood going. I mean, the country and the government and every individual household maybe can't afford to make decisions that cost them their livelihood in the long run, whether you're in a contract or you need a house or you need to make a sale. It's really difficult.
Mm-hmm. So how is virtual real estate working with helping your clients maybe tour properties through virtual tours or Zoom? How is that working? Or do you have sellers that are conducting the tours also? And how is that experience? Because I have a couple experiences with them.
We have a little bit of seller assistance. That's been nice. We've always done Matterports no matter what. So they're always available, and our clients have been buying without seeing the houses with the addendum, hoping that they can get in soon. It's a very hard decision for the seller because they don't want to, take their property off the market for someone that might not buy it once we open up. That's the same challenge everybody's had. We haven't really done much of the Zoom open houses, the virtual open houses. We've had a few where we require sign up. So when no one signs up, we don't hold them because our Zoom open houses would require the sellers to be there to answer questions. Otherwise, I don't really feel like, people can do their own Zoom tours and if you're doing something passive like an open house, you might not want to be face-to-face with an agent anyway. And I have attended a lot of y'all's virtual open houses because I want to see the house, but then I feel bad because you guys keep asking me if I have clients and I don't. But I may have said that I did because you asked me in front of other people. But for as far as like what's helping us technology-wise is we are extremely active on social media, and we haven't pulled back on any of that because we need to stay alive and in front of people. So I think one of the big secrets or one of the big things about social media that's important is it acts like a living resume. So you just can't abandon it, and you have to keep it alive, and you have to keep it current, and you have to keep your messaging consistent. So my staff is really good at that, thank goodness, because if it was left up to me by myself, it would be very kooky.
Yeah, mine too. Mine too. So Jeannie, I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you have a daily routine that you have had before COVID? Now you can keep it during COVID, and if not, how are you keeping yourself sane through all of this?
Well, I would never describe myself as sane even before COVID, so that's not something I have to worry about. But I don't, a long time ago, one of my therapists told me that routines are just a way to beat yourself up. You set yourself up for disaster, you don't make it there, you're mad at yourself all day long. So like Kristin said, you have to be really kind to yourself, and that's not a great way to do it. So if for somehow you can take all the elements that you want to construct your life around and kind of mash them together and let yourself do them in a more organic way. It depends on, I don't know if anybody has done this, the MBTI, Myers-Briggs intelligence testing. If you can find, and reach out to me if you need one, there are coaches that do it just for like $250. You take the MBTI and they help you understand what the results mean. But it helps you understand how you work and what you need. So there are people out there who are very regimented, and I have a high desire to have a routine. So the being at home all the time has been a little blissful for me. I hate to say that. So I'm the one saying that work as hard as you can, regardless of the law, and the virus shutdown is great. But it's been great to be at home. So I am getting a lot more routine in than I've ever planned before. I see more of my husband. I spend more time with my dog. I organize things. My house is super clean. I'm eating well. I'm exercising every day. Like everything that regular life gets in the way of, I've been able to do during the lockdown, which again, I feel very guilty about. So don't tell anyone I'm having a great time.
No, I agree. I agree. Well, thank you so much. All right, so we have a few minutes left. I mean, we can certainly go over because I am enjoying my coffee talk with you ladies. So I'm going to go ask the question and ask each of you, and we'll go in that order. We'll go Kristin, Janis, and Jeannie. So what was the last book that you read?
Wait, are you asking me first? I missed it.
We're gonna go Kristin, Janis, and then Jeannie.
Sorry.
So
I heard my
Kristin,
name.
you go.
I was like, all right, that's me. Go ahead, Kristin.
I don't know. Janis may have a better answer. Again, my focus is all over the place, and I have two boys who are 7 and 9, who I can hardly get through reading emails. So I pick up books and I read bits and pieces of them. I recently was just reviewing Talk Like TED. That's a book that I flip through often because now we're doing so much via Zoom, and we should always be enhancing our public speaking skills. So that's one book that I will continue to need to review, and we should all be reviewing that all the time. Another one, of course, is the book Shift. We all should be reviewing the Shift book. It's another Gary Keller book, but if you don't have that, text me, I'll send it to you. It's a great book for everybody to be reviewing during changing economic times. And then, on another note, my older son is into chapter books, and he's a pretty good reader. And so he and I have started to just read chapters together. We're currently in the The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe type, the C.S. Lewis series. And I, in my most chaotic days where I really need to be paying attention to my kids and not everything else around me, I take a deep breath and I just try to block everything out and read just one chapter with him, and then think fondly about, I don't know, maybe something I read when I was little that had something similar going on. I don't know.
Well, that's fair. Yes, reading lots of books with the kids. So I guess the question should have been, what was the last textbook that you read? You're reading? No, that's fine.
No. I get it. So this is interesting. Maybe some of you in the audience have signed up for the masterclass series. So if you haven't, check it out. Masterclass.com, I think. And you have professionals from all over the world teaching their favorite subject. And so it wasn't necessarily a textbook, but certain team members of mine and I have enjoyed many of their classes, and the one that I took was a more in-depth interior design class. So it wasn't a textbook, but it was a really nice overview of interior design principles, and it allowed me to be as focused as I could get in that moment.
Awesome. Okay, Janis, how about you? If you haven't read a book, what's your favorite book that you
No, I actually read a lot, and I started myself on a 60-book challenge at the end of December, and it was for the year, but I got a jump start at the end of December. So I've been reading a lot, and mostly what I started out was reading all like business and motivational books. And this isn't the most recent book I read, but I'm actually going to hold it up because I saved them, but this book was amazing. And it was, I suggest everyone read it because it was just so great. Solve for Happy. But right now, when I'm down the shore, I got out of the business books and I'm reading a Jennifer Weiner book right now. Oh. And I feel so decadent because I never sit back and take the time and read novels anymore. And she's an excellent writer, but it's not challenging or anything. And it's almost like watching a soap opera, and
it is, definitely.
And I will say that I've, sometimes at night in the drink whatever. So I'm not ashamed. That's what I'm reading.
Awesome. I like her books too. It's nice to get away from all the business books and read just a very easy book to read. So
totally.
Yeah. All right, Jeannie, how about you?
I'm like a one-woman professional development book club. So if anybody needs suggestions, please, I have I'm an addict. I have every single one, and I Audible and the notes and the Cliff Notes. But the most recent one I read is called The Challenger Sale, and I did a little workshop with my team about what the concepts in there. And it's about teaching selling. So, which is really what we do is our clients come to us and they need to be taught what their options are and how everything works. And it's just a fabulous concept. It gives you all different kinds of personality types and what kind of sales skills work for what kind of sales. And there are Cliff Notes for it, and you can also Google the teaching infographics and just get those and look at it. But for pulp, I recommend The Long Bright River. I think it's a great portrait of Kensington and what's going on in there, and it's just kind of true and honest and a super easy read. I didn't like the ending, but you can decide
Awesome.
for yourself.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to ask everyone one more question, but before I do, because this question kind of ties in with what we're doing this week with women leaders, and we have an awesome panel on Wednesday night, so hopefully everybody can join us. So that's Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Check your emails. The email that came out this morning, I'm sure we're going to send out more. Some really inspirational women on a national level, some really powerful women offering some tips and tricks and advice and some challenges and accomplishments. So hopefully you can join us Wednesday at 7 o'clock. So with that, I'm going to ask our panel if they have any words of encouragement for any women leaders or just any leaders. If there's any piece of advice to give everybody, what that might be. So again, we'll start with Kristin.
Hi. So if there's one thing that this time is teaching us, which we all, I'm sure are hoping to do on a daily, regular basis, is lead with revenue and keep our reserves. So, and really solidify our understanding of our personal and professional finances. And really making sure that we have quality people with the same work ethic around us on a professional note. And then personally, people who build you up, personally and professionally too. So financial awareness, knowledge, and preparation is number one for men or women, but women. And then just making sure you have the right people around you on a consistent basis to help get you to where you need to go. And then I guess the third thing I would recommend, again, male or female, obviously, ask for help, be creative about asking for help, and encourage yourself to think outside the box to solve problems. It becomes fun if you make it consistent, and you become really good at problem solving when you need to, but definitely rely on people. And I guess I'm thinking of one more, build relationships like we're all doing. But as I've mentioned in the chat, I mean, Jeanne, Janis, and I, without even really trying too hard to be purposeful about it, I think it comes naturally, but then there's a definitely action that you need to attach to it. But we've all built relationships in the last couple of months with each other to prepare us for a really productive talk this morning and hopefully inspiration for everyone. So I'm really proud to be chatting with you guys today, and I hope that we can help everyone, including ourselves.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you. And Janis, how about you?
Well, one of the things that I often say is that to me, money means freedom. And so if I won the lottery today and I had $1 billion, or I lived on a beach in a hut and I fished for my dinner, it's like opposite sides of the same coin. It's still freedom, because money doesn't matter to me in either one of those cases. And so what I've learned, I've always felt that, but what's really solidified for me in the time of this pandemic is I don't want to spend my life working just for the sake of working. I want balance more than I've ever wanted balance in my life. And I have to have compassion for myself. I have to honor that, and I have to stand firm when the world is telling me that I'm supposed to be doing otherwise. I can't ever let myself be judged by the rest of the world and feel inadequate, because if I want to sit in my garden and pick the weeds and not go generate business, or I want to lay in my bed and suck my thumb and cry because people are dying, or if I want to go run crazy, I can do whatever I want, because that's what life is all about. And so for me, this whole thing has really just drilled down and reinforced to me that it's all about balance, and it's all about living in the moment. And business for me is just a part of that. It's integrated into my life. So in a way, everything's changed, and in a way, nothing has changed.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Jeannie, how about you?
Well, I couldn't agree with both Kristin and Janis more. They pretty much summed it up perfectly. And I agree that I think I've gotten to where I've gotten because I have some kind of weird Rain Man style financial intelligence that enables me to move forward, building a business and making investments. You asked, what else you do in real estate. I've built and sold 22 houses. I have a holding company. I have my own portfolio of rentals, and all of that has everything to do with what Kristin and Janis are saying. And it's hard every day to decide, like what Janis was saying, if you want to become rich and full of material things, or if equally, I have the equal desire to run away to a hut in Mexico. So, but right now, the most important thing is to be kind to yourself and everybody else around you, and try not to be judgmental, because we're all in this kind of pool of wackiness together. And if there's anything I can do to help, I'm actually hosting a series of 4 workshops in June on Wednesday mornings. That's about how to build a team from an online leads pipeline. So if you're thinking about building a team or joining a team, just email me. I'll put a little note in the chat, Jeanne@phillyhomegirls.com, and we'll talk about it.
Thank you so much. Well, I don't know if you're able to see the chats, but you guys are getting some great thank yous and hearts and kudos, and you ladies are just wonderful, and I'm happy to have you join me this morning for coffee and having a little chat about the industry and how you built your teams and your leadership, and love all of your approaches. So thank you all for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Stephanie, for having us. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, and you know what?
Thanks, Stephanie.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks. And you know what? I just want to also point out there, we were talking about their professional and personal life, and also their contribution to GPAR has just been amazing and very helpful. So I thank you guys for your contributions and for stepping up and volunteering. So, and with that, Matt, if you're around.
Yes.
Okay, anything else? I know we have like a great week coming up.
Awesome. This was one of the best ones that we've had. No offense to our previous guest, because this was really to the core of who our leaders are, the voices that we have that push us to be better as an industry, as an association. You hear about resilience, nothing but everything. You heard about carnies and their influence. We had it all here today, building lots and lots of properties. This was really cool. And we had a dachshund hanging out with us at Coffee Talk. So anytime you can infuse a dachshund into the conversation in a very subtle but very awesome way, you can only have a great Coffee Talk. So thank you to everybody. Join us this afternoon, 2 o'clock, Shannon McGann. She's a powerful force in Washington, D.C. Great opportunity for you guys to connect with her and to hear about what's going on, because Washington, D.C. has more stuff cooking up that is going to have some impact across the country. So please check us out this afternoon, 2 o'clock. With that, have a great day.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.